So it's my responsibility to teach, and that's what you're supposed to do when you're elevated to position. If you don't show up and show that you care, they won't care about you. Why should
Absolutely.
they? So it's that messaging of you have to get involved. I want a little girl to come back to me 10 years from now and say that I'm a CEO of such and such, and it's because I came through your program. It's not about you. It is about the people that you are helping and the ones that are looking at you to be successful.
Hey, I'm Mayor Derek Wood. Welcome to the Elected and Engaged podcast. We are your voice of local leadership. Today, we're joined by my sister mayor of the sister town here in Dumfries, the city of Manassas, someone who has been homegrown,
Yes.
actually born and raised in her city, to come up to become the first African American mayor, and just so happened to be a black woman. Y'all help me welcome to the show Mayor Michelle Davis Younger. Y'all show us some love.
Got to clap for myself.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Derek. I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you.
Welcome to the Elected and Engaged
Thank you. It's
podcast.
exciting.
Tell the people a little bit about your journey, because I think your story is important and you're going to inspire some young females out there that's watching this right now.
Yeah, I think mostly my journey is, as you said, it began in Manassas, born and raised in the city, in Prince William County and in the city. So I have that kind of dual story going there. But my parents born there, never left. So it goes beyond me. And growing up there, having the opportunities that I had, being from there, growing up in church there, just relationships forming early in life. And that's what's carried me all the way through. And so public service has always been in my family. And for me to be able to do what I've done, open my own business, did that, got my MBA while being a single mom, did that. You always are looking to go higher. And that's what I try to instill in every young person that I come across. And I think being mayor, it has allowed me to just have that platform to inspire and motivate young people all across the city and beyond in the region. Actually, I've opened up Manassas to the region.
Wow.
So, and my journey is still going. It's not going to stop here. I know I made it to the big time being on your show, but it doesn't stop here. And there's so much more work to do. And when you take it seriously and you want to see the place where you were born, the place where you were raised and grew up, flourish, that's a legacy. I'm leaving that legacy of you can do it too. And so that's kind of my journey. Just I've been through a lot. I don't look like what I've been through, thank God. But it's encouragement. It's getting up after being knocked down and never stop going. Just keep going.
Wow, why do you think you were the first? Why did were there others that tried and were unsuccessful?
Not as mayor. There were other women of color who ran for council and were not successful, but no one had ever run for mayor. I don't think they felt they could. Where me, it was, this is the opportunity. And I think it would have been something that I would have always regretted had I not done it. It would have been what if, because I was on council for 2 years before running. I really had nothing to lose. So it was the opportunity to make history, being the first, but it was also to send that message that you can do it too. I got here. And that's what you're put in position to do, raise others.
Wow. So let's take your story back a little bit. Let's talk about how you first got engaged. What was that thing that sparked that fire that says, I need to get involved in politics? What was your early intuitions of it? What did you see that made you want to do it?
Well, I always say I never wanted to be in politics. I still don't call myself a politician because community service has always been a part of my life. My father's a preacher, and so I grew up helping others, helping in the community, always treating people better than yourself. You give, give, give. That's what I grew up with. And so politics found me. I never sought it out. And what better compliment when it comes to you, because people were watching who I hung around. And that's what I tell my young ladies when they come through my program. People are watching you. Watch what you're saying. Watch who you're hanging around, because that's what you surround yourself with, you tend to be. And so being watched, it came to me, counsel, what is that? I had to learn all of that. I didn't have anybody like me to look up to like these young ladies do now. I had to learn it. And so I share it now. But it found me, and I'm glad it did. It came to me unexpected, out of the blue, but I'm glad I said yes, because I believe I have really made a difference for so many.
That's good. So you would call your early engagement just the work you really did
Community.
in the church
Yeah, in the
and the
community.
community and
Yeah.
being very
Right.
visible.
Right. And opening my business. I have my own business, the one for HR, where I help people get jobs. And so I would hear their stories. Let me see how I can help you. I still have my business. But it was about getting people to the next level. So it's just now a larger platform that I'm able to do that, but it's still there. It's still
Right.
that help, that lifting people up. It's in you. You're born with that, and it's your responsibility to take that gift and hone it and use it to serve others. That's what I grew up with.
So what was the process? These ladies, they come to you, they say, "Listen, we see something in you, and now we want you to get on the council."
Yeah.
What was that process? Like,
So
what were the steps that it
yeah, it
took for
was
you to get
just
there?
yeah, it came to me and said, okay, now we got to get you in front of the committee. And so I had to go and meet the committee. They had to vet me. They had to, put you through the process.
Well, what kind of committee is
The
this?
Dem Committee, the
Oh,
Democratic
okay.
Committee in the city of Manassas. So they put you through a process, ask you a lot of questions. Well, what do you think you could bring? And I just talk, just like we're sitting here like
Yeah.
this. Our seniors need to be taken care of. We need to make sure our kids are getting, there's education so that they can get better jobs and workforce development. These are all the things that I told them that I would work on being on council. And that's what I did. And they were like, okay, this is it. She's going to do it. And I ran, and that was it. First woman of color to get elected to council in
Wow. So you
2018.
had two first. 2018, you a
Yep,
first
yep,
black
yep. Woman
woman
to ever hold
elected to
council.
the city of
Yes,
Manassas.
council.
Wow.
And then 2 years later on to mayor.
Historically, that's a Confederate area where
Yeah,
a bunch of battles were
yeah,
taking
the
place.
first land battles of the Civil War fought in Manassas. So that tells you the significance
So
of it.
from Confederate to 2018 to get the first black
First,
woman.
took that long, but I'm not gonna be the last. Not gonna be the
What
last.
impact do you think it has made by representation? You being represented. What do you think that impact when
Oh,
you first got elected
oh,
2018?
huge, absolutely huge. And when I moved on to mayor, I started the My Mayor Looks Like Me program, and we'll probably talk about that a little bit later. But to me, that is what it is about. It's not all of it, but it is a great deal of that because young girls, young people of color need to see us represented in those spaces.
Good.
I knew nothing about the government, how it worked. That's upon me now. When you know better, you do better, right? And so it's my responsibility to teach and learn. But I had to be there. They have to see me.
Yeah.
They have to be able to touch me. They have to be able to talk to me. Like, I can really do this. If I spend time with this woman, I'm getting these nuggets that she's dropping, then they're going to go on and do the same thing. And that's what you're supposed to do when you're elevated to position.
So when you got elected, you not knowing nothing about local government, how were you able to garner any success? Like getting now, and how did your perception change being on, as I like to say, one side of the curtain to now you're the wizard in the Wizard of Oz, right? Like going from one side to the other side. How did your perspective? So what was your perspective on this side, and then once you got elected, how did you see differently?
Well, I was so nervous, learning because I was the inexperienced one at the table. I didn't know all those acronyms and they throwing out FOIA, COIA, this, that. And I just read and I soaked up as much as I could so that I could feel comfortable when I spoke. I didn't say a lot when I got on council, but I made sure that they knew I was at the table. I'd chime in when something didn't sound right. I'd ask questions, but there's still that fear. But then once you start speaking up and once you start making progress and start talking about the things you want to bring, I brought a whole new perspective. It was like taking them to school every day. You don't understand when you say XYZ how a person of color hears that. It doesn't sound right.
Representation.
But the representation was not there. Well, what do you mean? It's just blah blah blah. But when we hear that, it means something totally different to us. So it was schooling a little bit in the beginning. A lot of that time was spent doing that, just teaching the differences in how things read and how they sounded when you said it. So that was a lot of the first couple of years. And then I thought, I can take this to the next level. I can do better. And our city can be better. The government did not look like what our city was. The demographic had changed.
Okay.
And your government looked nothing like it. How you could not relate. I could relate to the single moms because I had been one. I had been broke, busted, and disgusted. And I could talk about that walking through the stores. And I didn't mind talking about what I had been through. And a lot of people don't want to share
Right.
what they've been through. They think, I got here. And no, I walked through the store with a calculator and $30 to feed me and my son. But how are you going to relate to that if you've never lived it? You can hear about it, but I lived it and I didn't mind sharing it. And that's where I would reach people in their heart with those real life stories. I went to school 3 nights a week, worked full time to get my undergrad degree while being a single mom, got my MBA. So don't tell me it can't be done, because you got all kind of things now to help you do it. You have no excuse. But
Facts.
I did it when it was hard work.
Yeah.
Had to go to the brick and mortar classroom and sit for 3 nights a week for 4 hours, plus work a full time job. So we have all these things now that you can do it, but it is that representation. Ask me about it. Ask me how I did it, and I will tell you. It's not made up. It's the truth. So it does matter.
Wow. So when you saw that opening where you said, I'm going to take a shot to go from council to now mayor, what was that process like, taking that leap from being a city councilor to now I want to drive the bus?
Well, there was no opening.
There was no opening.
There was no opening because the mayor at that time had not said what he was going to do. His term was coming to an end. He never said, I'm running again, I'm stepping aside, nothing. We did not care. We knew, and I'm saying we, my political advisor, we knew that I had a chance to go higher and make a real difference in becoming mayor in that city. And again, had nothing to lose because I still retained my council seat had I not been successful. So people say I kind of pushed him out of the way, but it was his choice to not run again. But you could see how I did in the primary and how I did in my election. I was a top vote getter and all that. Nobody wanted to really come up against that. So I did have competition, but I don't think he wanted that. I don't think he wanted to go down that road. But so there was no opening. It was, this is the time. You need to do this now, and you can do it. And I had to have enough belief in myself, because I'm thinking, at first when people came to me, I was like, Mayor, no way, that job is this. I had it built up to be, and it is a wonderful position, but I just had it bit larger than life than it needed to be, because while it is a difficult position, the city of Manassas mayor does not vote. You only break ties. So, but it is about getting 6 different personalities to agree on something to get things done. And we have a really good team now that does that. But the opportunity was there. We went for it, and here I am.
Where did the confidence come from? Because you said you had to build up for it. So where did you lean to get that confidence to say, I'm a little scared, but I'm gonna do this?
Yeah, it was really scary for me. But I think I have a good political advisor, a good family. My father, girl, you better do it, baby girl. You know you got it. He's 90 now. So, but that encouragement from family, from church members, from close friends, that just, we got you. We're gonna get you through this. You got it. You're the best thing. You're the best one for the job. Why wouldn't they pick you? We love you. And so just hoping that carried enough to get me in the position. But people knew my heart. They knew that I love my city, and I would be what was best for us for the next 4 years going forward. And I think I've proven that, because it's coming up now for re-election. So,
Okay.
yeah, we're moving on.
What do you feel like was your biggest challenge in running for office? Outside of, once you overcame your fear, what was probably the biggest challenge you had to overcome running?
I think explaining to people who didn't know what it was all about, because you're trying to engage. We tend to not be involved, and we, meaning people of color, tend not to be involved, myself included. You just don't understand any of it if you didn't grow up with that in your household, and you weren't having those discussions.
You talking about local politics,
Yeah,
local government.
local. It was go vote.
Yeah.
But what happens on the other side of that vote? What am I voting for? What is she saying? Let me look at her policy. Let me look at what she. None of that was there. It was just go vote. People die, so you can vote. Okay, that's great. But I need to know what's on. It's just like handing somebody, and I would often hold discussions and tell people, it's just like handing somebody your checkbook and saying bye and let them do whatever. This is your money. This is taxpayer money, and you need to know what we're doing with it. And so it was educating. It was educating people and just getting them to come to council meeting. I'm still doing it. Still a lot of it. Disbelief, I don't want to be. No, you got to learn this stuff. You need to know what's going on in your city with the money and what's happening. You got to get involved. If you don't care, if you don't show up and show that you care, they won't care about you. Why should
Absolutely.
they? You don't
That's
want to invest in yourself. Why should we? So it's that messaging of you have to get involved.
That's good. Tell us about now you've been mayor going on 4 years.
Yeah,
You're
four
up for
years.
reelection.
Yeah.
Tell us about some of your greatest accomplishments now that you're behind. I know you talked about the mayor
Yeah, it
looks
looks
like
like
me
me. Yeah,
program. You could
that
tell us a little bit about
and
that.
that's more of a personal thing, but it is also creating the next generation of leadership in politics. Because to me, again, you have to teach, you have to lift as you climb. So, for me, it's not it's a wonderful thing to have opened up City Hall for everyday folk who did not feel like they belonged there or could come there, but now you can.
Yeah.
You can walk up to the mayor's office. You can, hey, I want to see the mayor. I saw the mayor out in the community. I have really opened up the mayor's position, the mayor's office, that whole atmosphere to the residents where it matters the most. That people just never thought, I'm standing here at the farmer's market talking to the mayor. The mayor really cares about me. So to me, opening up that office, opening up the mayor position is a huge accomplishment. The My Mayor Looks Like Me program, again, I want a little girl to come back to me 10 years from now and say that I'm a CEO of such and such, and it's because I came through your program and I learned so much that day. But it's just about teaching.
Yeah.
And I let them sit in my seat and I let them bang my gavel, because that touch and that feel is everything to some little girl. You just never know. So, the buildings, the things that we've been able to accomplish, and we're doing a lot of, home development. We're doing all of that, and that's council vote. I had to break one tie. I think it was my first meeting, and I was scared to death. Like, what is this going to be? Is this how this is going to work? I'm going to be breaking ties all the time. So the brand new Wawa coming in Manassas, that was because of a tie that I had to break. But for the most part, I haven't had to do that. But it is getting those six personalities. So lots and lots of stuff that we're getting accomplished in the city. As me as the lead, I don't, we share, and it's because of their votes and the work that they're doing in the community, but we all have to get on the same page. And that's what it takes, that leadership ability to do that.
What do you think some of maybe two or three of the biggest lessons you've learned over the last 6 years since you've been elected?
Don't trust a whole lot of people. It's tough because people say, well, you're a politician. Nobody trusts you. But I just think people meet people where they are. And you hear it a lot, but stop expecting you from people, because you're not going to get that. Everybody doesn't have my heart. And I tend to forget that and just sucking down everything somebody told me. Oh, it has to be this way because so-and-so wouldn't say, so it's just learning how to navigate people, and that everybody that just smiles in your face is not for you. So being able to discern when people are genuinely in your corner and want you to make it, than those who are trying to, ride you back to get somewhere, or really tear you down, because you never know. You never know. So that discernment, some of those lessons of, I thought I could trust that person and they just totally, but you live and learn. You live and learn. So, and just learning to navigate all of the, I hate to say games, but all of the strategy that goes on behind. I'm just such a straightforward. You've been around me enough. You see, I'm just straightforward. I'm honest. People know what I'm thinking. I don't play poker because it's all over my face. But I just believe people when they tell me something. You're like, why would they do that? And I don't play games like that. So just being straightforward and understanding everybody is not like that. And stop expecting me from people, really, was one big lesson I had to learn. But just meeting people where they are, understanding the needs and trying to meet them and make sure that they have what they need.
What type of, now by you coming in representing a whole different demographic and all of that, what doors do you think you've opened for your city?
Oh my gosh, it's amazing because now we have the first Latina on council who she gives me total credit. I would have never done this if you had not stepped up. For my vacant seat, when I had gotten moved to mayor, we had to interview. We had 14 candidates and 11 of them were people of color. That would have never happened 20 years. I mean, that just would never have happened. And most of them, when we interviewed them, they got up and said, it's because of what you did that I even felt compelled to come in here and apply for this job.
Wow.
Because of you and what you did. And I'm just sitting there like, wow, all I did was run and win. But they're like, but you opened that door. You let us see it was possible. and they never had that type of encouragement. So that to me was door breaking. That did it for me. I was like, wow, this is really good. So now we've got the first Latino council, and it's gonna just keep changing because the city has changed.
It's good.
Yeah.
What advice do you have to people in your community or people anywhere who want to get engaged in local government? What advice would you give them to
Yeah.
help them get engaged?
You have to work on boards, committees, and commissions. You
say that
have
one more
to-
time, man.
Boards, committees, and commissions. I know you preach that.
Yeah. I just want to hear you
That
say
is
it
one
again.
of the smallest things that you can do. It is volunteer. Some of them are paid, but it is volunteer, and you actually are steering the direction of a lot of things that happen in the city. You don't realize the power you have being on one of those commissions. And we have so much going on in the city. We can't do it all. We need them. And so that's what I always try to push. What board are you on? Because when people come to me and complain now, I go, and when did you come to a council meeting last? Oh, what board are you on? So throw it back at them.
Yeah.
And that's, well, then you can't complain if you don't contribute.
Ooh,
That's kind of where I go.
Bom. You
Get
can't
the horn.
complain if you ain't gonna contribute.
That's right. That's right. So
It's good. What are some of the boards? Because people they don't know what a board or a commission is. How would you explain
oh
that?
gosh, well we have like our airport commission, and we got the airport thing,
on.
and you don't have to be an airport aficionado. If you have some background, a lot of people out of the service join our airport commission. If you just have a love for it and you know a little bit about it, they interview you. We have an appointments committee. That's another committee that the council, it's 3 of them that sit on that, and they interview folks and have them and appoint them. We have the beautification committee. That's people that keep Manassas beautiful,
All right now.
and they keep our grounds and make sure we even have a cemetery committee. And they say people are
Wow.
dying to get in there. Thank you for laughing.
I
But
know
we
it was
even
cheesy,
we
but
we have a cemetery committee. So I mean, just little committees like that.
Okay.
It's not glitzy and glamorous, but it's the work of the city, and that's what we need.
People
Diversity.
serving.
We need your voice. You're driving what we do, and we do a big volunteer reception every year, and we have our architectural review board, and they're the ones that's like the HOA for the historic downtown.
Okay.
No folk don't play.
I know that's
because you
right.
have to keep that continuity of what we want our historic downtown to look like, and you're not just gonna roll up and paint things any kind of way and have what you want. But you can contribute. So people with an architectural background or stuff like that. But that's where I try to encourage people to start. That's how you learn, and people get to know your name. If you have aspirations to run, then you start on those boards and committees and commissions. So we have a lot of them.
Which leads us to our next question is now, what advice would you give to people who want to get elected as a city council,
Same
want to get
thing.
elected as mayor?
Same thing. Start on the boards, committees, and commissions. Get involved with the local committee. If you're Democrat, Republican, join that committee. Use that committee to help train you on how to present. They do, the questions. They get you ready for debates and things like that. But it is getting involved, showing up to the council meetings, coming and making comment at public comment time. That's a scary 3 minutes to stand up there and just talk. But that's what you have to do if you're going to be elected, right? You got to be able to
Absolutely.
just turn it on and talk. And so doing that, just making comments at council time and showing up to those meetings and the work sessions. And I did all that for like a year before
wow.
I
Okay.
ran for council. I was at all the work sessions because I wanted to see. And so I knew when I got to the table, it wouldn't all be foreign to me. I will have heard something about it. I wouldn't just be totally in the dark about it, but that's how you learn. That's how I got all the acronyms and I'm like, what does that mean? And I go look it up later, but I wanted to learn that. We have a city leadership class, which is really good. I tell folks, take that. If you're interested and think you might be interested in doing politics, take the city leadership class. Great, once a week. Learn everything about the city. It's amazing. It's an amazing course we have. So
Wow. So where do you see your journey taking you? Let's say we're 4 years down the road. You won. I'm going to prophesy. You
Yes.
already won re-election.
I have won.
Now
Yes.
you're at the end of another 4-year term. Looking back, you're in the rearview mirror. What do you want to accomplish over the next 4 years?
Well, the next week is just to see everything that we've started, of course, come up out of the ground. We're doing so much development in the city with our housing. We're just embarking on attainable and affordable housing, which I'm so excited about. We've been doing a lot of land purchasing. We've been buying, as you heard in the news, but it's because we have our eyes to the future and we're planning for future councils and future residents of the city 10, 20 years from now. And so the attainable housing is one thing. I had a list of like 4 or 5 things, and they've all pretty much been checked off that I wanted to accomplish or see accomplished in the city. And affordable housing is the one that's still hanging out there, but it's coming. Hopefully, with this last purchase that we did on Mathis Avenue, yeah, we'll get our first community center that we've never had. You guys have one in Dumfries, and we don't even have one, right? So, a city with 43,000 people, it just made no sense to not have a community center, but everything happens when it's supposed to. And to me, it's to see those things come up out of the ground, flourishing, working for everybody in the city, and people's needs getting met and just getting better, as we move along. So, yeah.
That's good. In your own words for people, describe what is it that a mayor does? Because, young people, everybody asks. I think this is an important question. What does the mayor do?
It's
I know
it's
that's
so
a loaded
hard to
question,
answer that
right?
because every mayor is different,
So, yeah,
and you
just for
make
you.
it fit you. And so I've done that when I spoke earlier about being a community mayor, being a mayor who is out in the community, out in the region, not just in Manassas 10 square miles, but going out, going to DC, going to different places, out to the county at all the events in the county, forming those partnerships. That's important. Not only representation, but relationships
Partnership, yeah,
matter.
relationship.
Because I can call on you. Hey, I need. Wasn't I bugging you to death when I first got like this one calling me again? But it was Derek. What do you do with and we share. But you can't have that if you don't build those relationships, and it's so important to do that and keep that going throughout. So that's one of the main things is that the relationship building is so important there.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing. How can
Yeah.
people find you if they want to stay connected to you?
Yeah, manassascity.gov. And talk to re-election stuff. The website. Well, I'm running for re-election, so Michelle for Manassas.com. But basically about the mayor's role on manassascity.gov. And I have the webpage there and all my accomplishments and everything that we're doing in the city. But just the mayor, it is what you make it. And I think that if you have a heart for people, it comes through. And I just have created so many opportunities for the community to be a part of the mayor. And that's what I wanted.
Any final closing thoughts for the Elected and Engaged podcast list? Anything you want to, maybe you want to give them something real deep or a quote or anything you want to share with them?
No, just don't give up. I know people say that don't give up, but it is true. I am living history, living proof that if you just get up and keep going, good things will happen, and you just cannot give up. You just have to keep fighting every single day. And you have to think it's not about you. It is about the people that you are helping and the ones that are looking at you to be successful. What message are you sending to them? So
Very
it's
powerful.
worth it. It's worth it.
Listen, this has been Michelle Davis Younger, the mayor of the city of Manassas, on this episode of the Elected and Engaged podcast. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. Make sure you like it. Make sure you share. Make sure you comment on the bottom so she can know how great she done, what type of confidence she should spread. Put your comments in there. And matter of fact, leave a review to let her know how good she do. And we'll see you next time on the Elected and Engaged podcast. We are your voice for local leadership.
So turn up the bass and lay low on the treble.